Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Mazda Touring Cup for Race 2 from Spa-Francorchamps. Before we have a look at the qualifying result, let's take a look at the current championship standings. After round 1, we have Steve F1 leading the way on 20 points, SGP in second place, Demon R third, SRI in fourth, Mitch in fifth, Fluffy 6th, Twilight in 7th, Jimmy in 8th, Rich Blues in 9th, Formula Gary 10th, Jason 11th, Dave the Harp in 12th, Lewis in 13th, and Groover in 14th. But then got Tyler and Bunsell and Conrad all not scored yet, and Mandalorian on -3. Okay, let's take a look at the qualifying result for race 2 at Spa-Francorchamps. DGT League SGP took pole position with a phenomenal 2:32.984, and Demon R will join him on the front row of the grid. On row 2 we've got Steve F1 alongside Mitch, and on row 3 is Dave the Harp with Tyler right next to him. Fluffy Planet and Mandalorian will take up row 4, while Conrad and Twilight make up row 5. On row 6 we've got Jason and Groover, and on row 7 we've got Lewis alongside Rich Blues. On row 8 we have Jimmy and Bunsell. Let's head over to the track and the commentary team. And joining me on commentary today is Steve. How are you, Steve?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to the hot tub at Spa.
You're not the only one. The hot tub's ready, the drivers are ready, SGP sitting on pole position, Demon R alongside him as we wait for the lights to go out, and away they go, and it looks like a decent start from SGP. Steve F1's had a bit of a shocker. Mitch is already attacking him.
Yeah, Mitch is all over Steve. He's going to try and go around the outside of the source, and it looks like he's done it. Steve's cautious up the inside. Dave the Arp's going to be putting him under pressure as we head down towards Eau Rouge, and Tyler's a bit wide there.
That he is. He doesn't really want to be too far wide out there, but Mandalorian trying to squeeze between Dave the Harp and Steve F1 is surely not going to make it 3 wide into Eau Rouge. He's going to try. No, goes 2 wide, and Dave the Harp, is he going out to dry? No, they all managed to get into single file, or at least these few do. Groover going a bit wide. Oh no, he's off into the barrier. Easy to do that, getting on a curb. And what's Demon R up to? Is he going to attack SGP? No, he's pushing him along. Why? Why would he do that?
Well, I can only think it's to try and break a bit of a gap to Mitch and Steve F1 behind. You try and go side by side, you're probably going to lose time. And when you've got cars close behind you, you need to try and break away.
Yeah, I mean, Spa is known as being a track where you don't really want to have pole position, because usually you don't end up at the end of the straight still in first place. However, I'm interested with what Demon R did there, because he's effectively helped out SGP, but I think you're right, it's meant that he hasn't lost any time. Tyler going a little bit wide again as they make their way down to the phenomenal corner that is Buon, and I know a few of the drivers think I made that name up. Honestly, I didn't. That is what it's called. I'm not being facetious.
Yeah, I mean, my favourite corner around this track is the corner with no name. Yeah. That is called No Name.
No Name. It's a track that's got no name, but it's called No Name. Mitch giving the bollard a bit of a smack in there. To be fair, though, the bollards around here are not placed in the best of positions. But because a lot of the curves you want to use them, really. As another bollard goes flying, we're going to see that quite a bit today, I reckon. I tell you what, though, I think majority of the field is still facing in the right direction. All sort of single file at the moment as Demon R is closing in on the back of SGP as they make their way up towards Blanchimont. You can go side by side through Blanchimont, but it's going to cost you both a considerable amount of time, and Demon R's having a look. Is he just, I think he was just giving himself, no, he's gone wide, he's off the track. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to make a move on SGP, but there wasn't enough for him around the outside there, and he ended up just over the white line, and it's a bit slippy out there. Before you know it, you're even wider than what you expected. Mitch now trying to attack SGP, but SGP is just looking forward.
Conrad having a look at the side of Fluffy's car. It's bright yellow, Connor. He's not going to go side by side into turn 1, are they? Conrad's got the position, but Twilight, no, not Twilight, Fluffy, oh my goodness me, it started already. I've had too many waffles. Fluffy will have just happily took him behind as Mitch is all over the back of SGP, and this is why the run through Eau Rouge and then up over the hill and then down the long straight, you don't want to be in front, you want to be behind, and then see if you can get past into the Kemmel chicane. Mitch then on what is only, I think, his second race in the DGT League, and still actually only reserve driver, currently sitting in second place and flashing his lights at SGP, trying to get his attention, but I'm not sure that's going to phase SGP at all. Oh, Bollard!
Bollard gone. Yeah, I mean, the experienced drivers in this league don't get phased by flashing lights. Tyler now trying to push on to Dave the Hawk, trying to make a move. We know Tyler's got a bit of pace from last season. He's not had a great start to the season in the Mazda.
True. I'm pretty sure, though, all of the decent drivers in DGT League do get phased by one particular colour of flashing light, blue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mitch! Oh, that's no name. That's no. I mean, it is a brilliant corner, and you can use a little bit of going a bit wide. But if you go too far, or you can get bit quite easily.
Yeah, it soon gets slippy out there on the AstroTurf. I mean, round Spa, we know it can get wet, and I'm pretty sure the AstroTurf is wet.
Well, interestingly, Mitch had that tiny little moment has cost him a considerable amount of time against Demon R, and that's a feature of these Mazda touring cars, that you make one little mistake and it does cost a lot of time. So the less mistakes you can make, the better. So Demon R then trying to close in on the back of Mitch, and I don't think he'll mind being sitting in at this position at the moment, on towards Blanchimont, right behind Mitch. May even be thinking of trying to attack, but I don't think he's going to get alongside before Blanchimont, not considering what happened last time. Steve F1 though, I've got to say, last race winner, he's sitting pretty at the moment, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be sitting there saving a little bit of fuel, just using up the slipstream. There's a bit of a gap to Dave the Art behind him, so he's not got to worry about that. Demon R having a look, is he? He's having a bit of a look. Is he going for the move? No, I think he's just trying to get Mitch out of position. SGP, he's gone off. He's gone. No, sorry, he's in the pits.
Yeah, early pit stop from SGP. I'm just wondering if anyone else is going to be following him in. Obviously, we've not got any damage or anything like that in this league. So early pit stop. Got to be strategy. No, can't be out of fuel. Yeah, I mean, what is it? It's probably 5 or 6 laps worth around here, I'd have thought.
Well, how much fuel do the drivers start with? Oh, Lewis got a little bit wide around the source.
Well, they start with 100 litres. 100% of the tank is full. Tyler and Conrad are going to go side by side. No, Conrad just tucks in behind. We're going to just... Oh, who's this? That's Demon Eye. Is he too close to Mitch? Because he's not going to benefit from much of a slipstream if you're right up the back. But it looks like he's got a bit of a slipstream. He's got a bit of a pull, but he's going to be side by side into the braking zone. I think Mitch just tucked in behind, you know. I think Mitch might have accepted it.
May have got ahead a little too soon as Conrad trying to go side by side with Tyler and Dave the Harp and Mandalorian, I think it is. Yes, it is. But Tyler manages to stay ahead. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to overtake too soon up the straight because you can get re-slipped. Tyler, though, pulled out a little bit of a gap on at Dave the Harp. And yeah, with the fuel, I mean, everybody has to start on a full tank. So SGP, yeah, it can't be for fuel or tyres, really, because he's not been off. So it can only be for strategy, but that's putting miles behind as Demon R is leading Mitch, and Mitch is on the AstroTurf again. He's going off. No, holy cow, he saved it.
I think we're going to have to rename that corner the Mitch.
I don't know. The itch, maybe. What that has done, though, I mean, he's done very, very well to save it. Someone's off wide big time. That's Conrad, and that's the thing with Pouon. Once you start getting wide out there, you are better off staying out wide than trying to get back on the track, because it's almost impossible to do. And your chances of spinning are higher. Mandalorian trying to have a look at Dave the Hart, can't quite do it though.
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise, if you have a bit of a problem around Pouon, you will have Pouon your seat.
That was a dodgy dad pun joke, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, got to put one in every race. So Dave the Art then, Tyler just ahead of him. He's going to get, this is the sort of distance you want to be behind a car to be able to use the slipstream to its most effective amount, and just slowly getting closer and gathering speed.
Yeah, he's gaining on him
going to go for, he should be able to pull out and make a move into the braking zone, but Dave the Hart, we know he can be cautious.
You know what, I think he got close to him just at the wrong point, right on the exit of Blanchimont, which meant he couldn't. Demon R into the pits. I think he's reacting, so is Mitch. So those two are into the pit. I think they're reacting to SGP having pitted already. I can't see any other reason for them. But Jason is spinning around, and Rich is parked up having a good look. Either that or I think Rich helped Jason spin around there.
Yeah, and in the background, SGP's caught up to the back of the train of cars. So he's starting to make a bit of headway now into that gap between him and the cars in front. But he's going to get a massive undercut compared to Demon R and Mitch.
Yeah, well, interestingly, while all that was kicking off, something must have happened with Dave the Art, because he went from attacking Tyler to now being behind Mandalorian and another car. So Dave the Harp's lost a couple of positions. So there is SGP behind Rich Blues, who's wobbling on the curb. He's also behind Bunsel, who loves a bump draft, and he's behind Jason. So SGP kind of needs to make some moves here to try and not lose too much. But given that he's going to be on probably now a fuller tank of fuel than the guys around him, it's not going to be that easy to do, I don't think.
No, I think what he's going to be hoping for now is everybody in front of him needs to pit, and then he'll have a clear track in front of him. But
Lewis!
his strategy may have been one lap too soon if the cars in front of him don't pit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, Demon R and Mitch have both pitted. They've come out right at the back, just like SGP did. It was Fluffy that was the other car that got ahead of Dave the Harp. Oh, Jason, up alongside, SGP, sorry, up alongside Jason. Jason's got Bunsel on the outside of him. Side by side, they're going to go towards Puon. It's not really a corner you want to be side by side. Twilight and Lewis doing it as well. SGP hugging that inside line and do it. Well, no, he's not. He's on the outside. But I think that's because he got ahead.
Yep, nicely done there though. Bunsel's looking for a attack back here. But I think SGP's got the line. Is that Lewis on the outside? Just giving him plenty of space there. It's nice from Lewis. Lewis, though, not giving the place up easily.
No, he's not. And Jason trying to get in there as well. So 3 wide into Stavolo 1. Who's going to be compromised here? I think it might be Lewis, you know. Is that Demon R and Mitch on the back of the pack already? I think it is, you know.
Yeah, they've had a stunning out.
It is.
Be that close. I mean, there's only about 4 car lengths between SGP and Demon R.
Lewis, Rich and Bunsel 4 wide. Demon R fighting for a bit of space. I think he's just about managed to hold it. So I think then, so yeah, there's Twilight, SGP, Jason, and then Mandalorian having a look up the inside of Tyler. That was a late move, and Tyler only just saw it coming as Fluffy. He now heads into the pits. Now 10 minutes gone. It'll be around about the time I'd expect a car to start pitting, 10 to 15 minutes. So this is where SGP now needs cars to get out of his way. Steve F1 leading the way though. Mandalorian made that overtake for second place. However, Tyler's now going to have a run on him. Oh, someone's wide. Conrad route wide on the exit of La Source. And there is Twilight, Lewis, Demon R, Bunsel and Jimmy. I think Mitch has lost out a little bit of time. But I think there's only 2 or 3 cars between SGP and Demon R at the moment. Tyler then, I mentioned he'll have a run on the back of Mandalorian, and that is exactly what he's got now.
Yeah, Steve F1 in the lead. I just think, oh, Tyler then going for that move on Mando. Is he going to make it stick? Is he going to get the braking into the corner correctly? Yes, I think he's going to have the move done. Nicely done there from Tyler. I'm just going to say about Steve F1. Is he going to be questioning his strategy at this point, considering his main contenders have already pitted? Is he going to be sitting there nervous in his car thinking, am I doing the right thing?
Well, he definitely will, because on his timing tower, he'll be able to see that SGP is currently in 7th place, so he'll have an idea of just how far behind he is. But, yeah, he's definitely going to be wondering what's going on here. And I tell you what, I think Mandalorian is going to be so pleased that you've started watching the TV show, because you automatically called him Mando, not Mandy.
Yeah, that's true.
Dave the Arb going for the move up the inside of Puon. That's a lovely overtake. It takes both drivers to know that that is happening, and that's a brilliant overtake from Dave the Harp. And right behind him is getting busy. There's Demon R having a look at Jason. Jason's gone a little bit wide. He's going to be stuck out there. Yep, there we go. He's going to have to be careful when he comes back on the track, because he's right next to Mitch and Bunsel.
Yeah, and got to be careful around anybody, especially when you're around Mitch and Bunsel.
Yeah, well, interestingly now, there's SGP, there's Demon R, so they were first and second, and they're still, well, technically net first and second, so there's no cars between them. Mitch is now right behind them, so what were the front 3 are now line astern, so for Demon R and Mitch, they can just kind of go, well, now we're with SGP, let's see what happens. They might not have to push as much. Mandalorian though, He's trying to fight back on Dave the Art, but he gets a little bit too much on the Astro around Blanchimont, and always on the grass. You don't want to brake on their grass. I don't think he's brake. Holy cow! Oh! I've not seen that before. That's some interesting driving. I'm gonna have to get my assistant to find out what happened to Mandalorian. Then maybe he heard my comment about calling him Mandy. Oh, Demon R's attacking SGP.
Yeah, and Steve F1's still not pitted, so he's going for another lap.
That he is. Well, we know that Steve F1 is very, very good at saving fuel. Many people might not, but I can let you know he is very good at saving fuel. So I think he's probably going to go, okay, stick to the normal two-stop strategy and see how he gets on, because he might think that those that have pitted very early may still have 2 more pit stops to do. Demon R then right on the back of SGP. We saw that he didn't attack him on the opening lap of the race. Is that going to happen here? No, he's pulling up alongside. SGP not fighting it, but he'll realise that it's not worth it. Also, with SGP pitting as early as he did, if he needs to do any fuel saving, the best way to do it is with a car right in front of you. Now, interestingly, the gap between Steve F1 and Tyler was huge. I think Steve F1's into major fuel saving mode because Tyler is right up his arse.
Yeah, Steve F1's realised now, he's seen the timing tower with Demon R and SGP. He'll be able to tell on the track map exactly how far behind they are, and if he's going to try and make a one-stop work, he's got to make that fuel last. Tyler then going for the move, and I don't think we've seen Tyler in the pits yet. Well, no, we haven't seen Tyler in the pits yet, otherwise he'd be net leader. So for Tyler to be going this long on his first stint, like Steve F1, I would only be thinking he's not saving as much fuel at this point as Steve F1 is.
Well, for the overtake that he's just done on Steve F1 and the gap is pulling out, Steve F1 is definitely in fuel save mode. I can't see him trying to do a one-stop race here. Two-stop, I think, is considerably faster and you don't have to worry too much about the fuel. But having said that, if Steve F1, I mean, all he'd have to do is get, another 5 minutes into the race, and they'd only have 1 pit stop to do. But the thing is, you are, as has shown, I think he's back into full engine mode now on the back of Tyler. But having said that, actually, he might be better off still saving a bit of fuel there behind Tyler and just using the slipstream.
Unless Tyler at that point was saving fuel.
Quite possibly. Okay, so SGP, I mean, he hasn't attacked Demon R in the whole of the lap since Demon R had got past him, so he would have had the chance to save fuel if he needed it. Demon R can see the cars up ahead and they'll see whether the time to them is coming down or not. This is building up to be a fantastic race for the victory, that's for sure. Conrad, Groover, side by side, right behind them, Rich and Mandalorian. Rich holding that inside line. I tell you what, I'm impressed with some of the guys that are able to hold on to the track around Blanchimont. Some drivers that I thought potentially may struggle a bit as Jason tagged the back of Conrad and then that connected with Groover and he's been pushed out wide. Jason on the AstroTurf, got to be careful there as SGP now is in a position to attack.
He is, but is he too close to get the main benefit from the slipstream? I think you're probably better off being about 4 tenths behind, so it really maximises the slipstream. Because otherwise, when you pull out, you've only gained a few miles per hour, and then it's a real hard drag then to try and get the car slightly ahead. But I think he's going to be able to do it. But this is only going to allow Demon R to tuck in behind and save fuel. Maybe SGP would have been better off not doing that.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we don't know exactly how much fuel these guys have got in their car or how much they're burning. We do know sort of an average of how long fuel will last, but this is looking a bit interesting, isn't it? Dave the Art with Mandalorian. Oh, we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at Steve F1. No, we're not. We're going to have a look at some trees at the hairpin. I think we're having a bit of a run through of the grid. Mitch, he's dropped off from the leading 4 at the moment, but he has got a big gap to Jimmy, who's in 6th, who I don't think has pitted yet either. And then we've got Fluffy in 7th. He has pitted. He pitted after about 10 minutes. And then we've got a right gaggle. Dave the Heart, Mandalorian, Conrad, Groover, Jason and Twilight side by side. Rich Blues there as well, and Bunsell. So these guys all fighting it out. So yeah, I mean, I must admit, I mean, Spa hasn't been on the game for very long, and a few of the drivers haven't really driven it before, but I've got to say, I think pretty much every one of them has got to grips with majority of this track, even if there is a few bogey corners for them. And somewhere like Blanchimont, it's so easy to go in there side by side with someone, and if you're on the inside, end up all the way to the outside when there's a car next to you and you push them off, or you're on the outside and you can't quite hang on to the track. So I do find it fascinating to see how the drivers get on in those kind of situations, as it looks like, I think we've got Mandalorian, is it attacking? No, Mandalorian, yes, he's attacked Dave the Harp. He's got ahead of Dave the Harp, but maybe at the wrong point. SGP, though, he is now all over the back of Tyler, and Tyler's heading into the pits.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have seen that big gaggle of cars going through Blanchimont just to see exactly how they coped with it, but I'm guessing they would have done it fine. I'm just thinking, though, now, Tyler's pitting. Is he going to come out at the back of this gaggle of cars as they break down towards the hairpin? There's a good chance he will do.
Ooh, 3 wide into the final chicane. I've got to say, that's good driving through Conrad, Mandalorian and Dave the Harp there. Rich Blue's getting a little bit twitchy on the accelerator. That was, I mean, it's not easy to go 2 wide, so 3 wide. Well done, guys. Got to say, let's wait for the crash in turn 1 now, shall we?
Where's Tyler, though? Because Tyler should be coming out of the pits anytime soon.
Unless I think he's got an invisible car.
Yeah, he's obviously filling it up as much as he can.
Yeah, he's going to be behind them, which means Steve F1 could be behind this pack as well. But having said that, for anyone that pitted on about 10 minutes, they may be pitting again soon. So this is all going to swing in multiple ways, and traffic could play a major factor in what happens to Steve F1.
Mitch on the brakes. Sorry, that'll be what. Yeah. Okay, I just noticed his brake lights went on very late, and I thought he's not making that corner, and as we saw, he didn't.
And he's not making that one either. Into the gravel and carries on. Maybe he's perhaps with Mitch, because he hasn't got a car near him. Sometimes it's very difficult to push, but push within the limits of the car's capability. Whereas if you've got a car right in front of you, you know what you can and can't do. Or is that Mandalorian? Yeah, Mandalorian chucking up the inside. And Conrad may have been a little too physical there, but we'll see how Conrad can take it. He's a Middlesbrough fan. Surely he can take a little bit of door banging. Oh no! Oh, he's going out wide. I meant with other cars, Conrad, not the barriers. He's flashing his lights. I don't think he's happy.
No, I was just about to say with Mando, I know that the Mandalorian is a bit of a hitman. Well, he definitely went in there. SGP is caught up to Steve F1 now. So basically, the gap between the leaders is next to nothing. But where's Steve going to be after his pit stop? I mean, well, we know SGP's going to have to pit again, but Steve's going a long way with this fuel. I mean, what are we? Just at the middle of the race now. We're 20 minutes in, so yeah. He's done half the race on one tank, but can he do the second half on another tank and be competitive?
Well, I guess there's only one way we're going to find out, and that's to keep on watching. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him heading into the pits now. Yep, there we go. In he goes. Now, this is the fascinating thing about this championship as well, or about the Touring Cup, I should say, is the way that the fuel is set up, as Mandalorian is trying to attack Jimmy, and he is attacking Jimmy. Jimmy hasn't pitted yet either, so I think he's in major fuel. Steve F1 had 1% of fuel left, and Jimmy is heading into the pits. So Steve F1 really took that fuel to the absolute maximum that he could. But the thing is, with the fuel, we know that if you're running like full burn, you can possibly get about 15 minutes, 14-15 minutes out of it, as Demon R is attacking SGP for the lead of the race. Side by side they go, and this is what you're on about, Steve, earlier on about it's hard to have that speed to really get past, because SGP, if he wanted, could have tried attacking back in, but to be fair, this is one of those situations where I think you don't mind being overtaken now and again if it means you can perhaps save a little bit of fuel or a little bit of tyre, because that's the other thing we don't know at the moment, is who has changed their tyres, because from what I can gather, the tyres can last about 30 minutes.
Yeah, quite comfortably.
But they won't last 40, which means if you're doing a 2-stop, you don't have to change your tyres at every stop. You can go 3 wide, Bunsell. Oh, SGP getting close to the back of Demon R. Demon R's got wide. Oh, big sideways. That's going to let SGP through. Yeah, Demon R, I don't think he'll be fighting that one. Get a little bit sideways like that, and it overheats the tyres. So SGP back into the lead then. We haven't seen yet where Steve F1 is, but I do feel that, oh, there he is in the background. He's behind Bunsell, so he's in 11th place at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just thinking second round of pit stops for the leaders must be coming soon, and be interesting to see exactly where they are when they come back up. Tyler, a little bit wide, he's going to be on the AstroTurf again, but he's keeping the car pointing forwards, but that's going to put him under pressure from Lewis.
That he is. Dave the Arp's coming under pressure from Jason as well. I think Jason just ran a little wide. He's tagged Dave the Arp into the gravel. There you go. That's going to help Steve F1 definitely. Excuse me, I was going to say, what happened with Tyler there? He started running a little bit wide, tried to save it and get back on the track, but he couldn't, and you end up very, very sideways. Sometimes it's better to just accept defeat. Okay, SGP and Demon R into the pits. With what could be potentially their last pit stop, and interestingly, SGP's got 6% of fuel, but Demon R's got 22% of fuel, which means Demon R's pit stop could be considerably shorter than SGP's, unless SGP doesn't need to put tyres on.
Yeah, or Demon R puts tyres on, and exactly what you said.
Yeah. Fluffy
into the pits as well.
Oh yeah, he is. So is Mandalorian. Fluffy Planet though, he's leading the race, and what that's going to do, that's going to put Groover into second place. Steve F1 is going to be now sitting in technically third place, and he is going to come out ahead, I believe, of Demon R and SGP, and he'll there's Demon R. Demon R's coming out of the pits, and there is SGP. Oh, this could be crucial for the both of them. SGP's come out at the back of the pack, and Demon R's come out in front of it.
Yeah, that's going to cost SGP. He's going to have to try and make a move on these. I mean, what is that, about 4 cars? 5 cars between SGP and Demon R. He's going to have to get a move on to get through there.
It looks like Demon R is coming under a bit of pressure from Bunsell, as Tyler is also trying to make a move on Bunsell as well. I think Demon R's looking there, going, come on Bunsell, hit me Bunsell, yeah. Give me a bump.
Demon R's fat on fuel at the minute, and the cars behind him aren't. So this could be difficult for Demon R to keep them behind him, especially if they go for another lap.
Yeah, definitely. Tyler's up next to big sideways. I think Demon R may have just not realised that Tyler was next to him then, and probably that's a new word, put Tyler into a bit of a spin as SGP makes a little bit of a lunge up the inside of Lewis. Is now tucked up right behind Dave the Harp, who's almost side by side with Bunsell. So yeah, this is costly for SGP, because Demon R can see Steve F1, and Demon R knows Steve F1 will have to save a lot of fuel. SGP, he's got to make moves, and he's in a similar situation to Demon. Oh, Dave the Arp, big sideways. Lewis nearly hits him. That's a big off for Dave the Arp there.
Yeah, I think SGP was just so close to following the back of him. He just ended up following him off the track there. It's cost SGP a bit of time and a place. Okay, he doesn't have Dave the Harp to overtake, or Lewis, but he lost the place to Jason.
That he did, but Bunsell's run a little bit wide. He's into the dirty bit around Stavelo's. You don't want to be out there. Oh my days, who was that? Was that Rich? Was that Jason?
Jason, yeah, I think there was probably a bit of contact between the two. Bunsell's off the throttle, slow on the exit, and he's not come through the shot yet that we can see, so I wouldn't be surprised if Bunsell's just doing the gentlemanly thing and waiting for him there.
Yeah, I mean, it is part of the rules. Fluffy Planet then into the pits. He pitted around 10 minutes, and then he's done 16 minutes on his next tank of fuel, and he's not quite empty, so he should be able to get to the end of the race. Groover also into the pits. What that means then is we've got Steve F1, leader of the race, got a long way to go on 1 tank of fuel. Demon R's in second place, has got nowhere near as long to go on a tank of fuel, and then we have Tyler and SGP. Tyler may be able to get to the end, but he pitted with 18 minutes gone, so it could be touch and go for him, as Rich and Jason go side by side around La Source, and Twilight coming round to see Jimmy a little bit sideways. Fluffy comes out of the pits down in 13th place. Dave the Harp, he's sitting there having a smoke.
Yeah, Bunsell's car's up on jacks. He needs to get that moving as quick as possible, but it's it's Steve F1 that we're looking at. He's got a bit of a comfortable lead, but he's going to have to watch his fuel. He's not going to be quick through this middle sector. I mean, if you was in a car, where would you save fuel? Oh, hang on a minute, we've got Mando up the inside of Conrad going in towards the...
No, we haven't. He's tucked in behind him.
Yeah, that surprised me there.
Oh, Mitch has got the Kemmel chicane all wrong again. The drivers behind him will have seen that, and they'll be screaming on their radios, going, "He's cut the corner! He's cut the corner!" But looking at it, I think Mitch may have slowed down a bit there because he has not. I don't think he's increased the gap between himself and the cars behind him.
No, I mean, it looks like the gap's smaller, so it looks like he has given himself a little bit of a self-penalty there.
Mitch has gone massively wide at no name. He may even have hit the wall as we're having a close-up look at Mando. So Mitch is struggling a little bit as he's coming under pressure from Conrad, and he's gone wide again. He's wide on the outside of Puon. I know we're still looking at Mandalorian, but he is still out there, and Conrad goes wide as well. Oh no, he doesn't. He's lagging. Holy cow. That's disastrous for Conrad. We know he had bad lags a couple of championships ago, but it looks like it's returned. And I tell you what, I think Mitch is trying to navigate it, but doesn't know where the bloody hell to go.
Yeah, I think his car's just disappeared completely, and it won't be coming back, unfortunately. He's not on the timing tower, so I think that's Conrad out of the race, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, SGP is now closing in on the back of Tyler, who, like Steve F1, is going to have to do a lot of fuel saving to get to the end of the race, and that may be showing here as SGP is all over the back of him through Blanchimont and gets ahead. And this is where it would be wise for Tyler to either jump in the pits and get topped up on fuel and tyres, or just follow SGP's slipstream and save fuel where he can, as Lewis is either having a spin or he's going to the pits. I think he's going to the pits. Right, I was trying to mention a little while ago, because interestingly, we haven't seen Demonar even attempt to attack Steve F1. Now, I was mentioning a while ago that the fuel we know can last about 13 to 15 minutes on full burn. If you do a hell of a lot of fuel saving, you could make it last 20 minutes, like Steve F1 has done. But you can quite comfortably do a two-stop race, never worry about your fuel, and just run full burn. But we're in a situation now where Steve F1 has to go full burn on the straights, but needs to save a lot of fuel, and there's only one way that he can do, well, a few ways actually: lift and coast into corners. But Demonar's not attacking him, you see. I'm wondering if Demonar is just playing a bit of a smart game here and going, you know what, Steve F1 needs to save fuel to get to the end. And I think Demonar is saving fuel so that for the last few laps he can just turn it up, whereas Steve F1 will still need to be saving fuel. So yeah, in the middle... Oh, where's Mandalorian gone?
Turn right to a left-hander.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, don't want to go that. Maybe he couldn't see out of his visor.
Yeah, bit of a blind spot there in his helmet.
Yeah, put that in your smoke and pipe it. So for Steve F1, best place to save fuel is middle sector. Once you're heading into the Kemmel chicane, turn the engine down. Probably from you got 6 mixtures, 1 to 6. 1 is full burn, which you'd run on the straights, and yeah, probably use 3 in the middle sector. But if you're desperate and have to save more, you go to 6. But it is so slow doing that.
Would you consider doing that on the straight?
No, not unless you were absolutely desperate. On the straights, you might as well just short shift and don't rush your downshifts to save a touch of fuel there. But no, on the straights, the amount of speed you lose would be absolutely enormous.
The reason why I was asking is we saw SGP overtake Tyler, and it looked like Tyler was extremely slow on the straight, like it was fuel saving. That's why I was wondering whether doing on the straight's beneficial.
Well, I say doing it on the straight, no. The answer is no, unless, like Demonar, because I've got a feeling, as Demonar's having a look at... No, see, he's not having a look. I've got a feeling, that Demonar is saving fuel behind Steve F1 on the straights.
Yeah.
So, Fluffy's gone big time wide there behind Mitch. Oh, and someone else going wide as well in the background. The pack is still here in DGT. I mean, Fluffy and Mitch, they're fighting for position. I don't think either of them need to pit again. Mandalorian does. He's heading into the pits now, and I think Rich Blues has just had a bit of a spin. To be fair, though, the final chicane here at Spa is one of those that when you've learned how to get through it without having any problems, it can be a very good set of corners, but sometimes it can be people's bogey corner. Okay, here we go. Demonar then, all over the back of Steve F1. So far he's been this close and hasn't attacked. Oh, but he's gaining. Look at how much he's gaining on him. He's attacking this time. He's attacking it. Yeah, definitely. He's got his engine turned up. So he had been saving fuel behind Steve F1 on the previous laps. So that it looks like Demon R's just going, you know what, I'm going to save fuel. And then at a certain point, I'm going to go for it and see what Steve F1 can do. As Fluffy and Mitch are side by side and in the background with 3 wide.
Yeah, we've not seen SGP and Tyler for a while, and they're in between these two are watching and the leaders. It'd be interesting to see what they're up to in a moment. But Mitch, right up behind Fluffy now, they're going to put him under pressure through this middle sector. Fluffy having a good season so far, but I don't think the next track's his favourite one, so he may not have a good race next time round, but not doing too bad today.
True. Although I think he will be a little bit frustrated with himself. He had pace to do better in qualifying, and he had pace to potentially be in the top 4 at the moment. But sometimes racing doesn't go that way. But he is closing in on the back of Tyler. So Tyler is plummeting down the order, slowly plummeting, as Fluffy's got a run on him up the inside. No, he hasn't. He's had to back out of it. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with having a sneaky look on the way into P1 to get the other guy out of position like that. And Tyler ends up running wide, and Fluffy couldn't quite capitalise, but he's putting Tyler under pressure.
I was going to say, Tyler, you say he's plummeting. Yeah, he's plummeting like a feather.
Yes, yeah. That's a pretty good analogy there. Now, interestingly, Demon R and Steve F1. Demon R got ahead of Steve F1, would have wanted to pull away in the middle sector. I'm not sure if he's been able to do that or not, but we're looking at Fluffy now attacking Tyler. So this is where, if Tyler does need to save a bit of fuel, he might benefit from sitting behind these two and saving a bit of fuel on the straights. And using the slipstream to stay close to them. Fluffy then trying to go around the outside of Blanchimont, up the inside now into the final couple of corners. Mitch is there as well, but looks like he's trying to stay out of this fight, and Fluffy is just ahead. Mitch will get a better run off the chicane if he doesn't get too twitchy. He's tagged the side of Tyler. So easy to do that. Trying to take the alternative line through the chicane can easily get you out of shape, and Tyler is trying to fight it for all his worth.
Yeah, I think at this point though, if Tyler is trying to make the one-stop work, he's better off not fighting at the moment, and just making sure he's got enough fuel to get to the end. Because I tell you the problem they're going to have, Dave, and I'm going to point it out to you now. Right, when you're driving in the race and you're trying to work out whether you've got enough fuel or not, you need to work out how many laps are left. How many laps are left, Dave?
I've no idea.
Exactly.
15 minutes, it's 2 minutes 40, 8, 9? No. I don't know. No, there's 5 minutes left.
Exactly. It's confusing when you know I mean, we're commentating, we're not driving, which is easier than driving. And when you're driving, it's difficult to work out numbers and drive at the maximum. So you've got guys now, and Tyler's going to be trying to work that out in his head. Have I got enough fuel to get to the end? I think so. But another problem they've got is the race doesn't finish at 40 minutes. It's 40 minutes plus the lap you're on, so the race could effectively be 42 minutes long, because you might cross the line at 39 minutes and 50 seconds, so you've got that extra time that you've got to make that fuel last.
Well, this is close between Twilight and Dave the Harp. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. It's Jason up the inside of Lewis as well into Pouon. Nice move from Jason. Lewis saw it happening. Who's that that's run wide? Is that Dave the Harp? He doesn't like that corner, does he?
No, doesn't. I think he's got the toilet paper ready in his car for that one.
Twilight got sideways there.
Yeah, it made it 3 wide into the corner there. Is that Paul Frere corner or something like that? I can't remember.
Curve Paul Frere might be. No, Curve Paul Frere is the king.
Bit of gravel kept it going. Lewis, bit of gravel kept it going.
Yeah, you got Stavilo, which is there, and then the next sort of little kink is Curve Paul Frere here, right. I believe.
Okay.
Tyler, you know what, is right up the gearbox of Mitch. I don't think Mitch can keep pace with Fluffy at the moment, but Tyler is definitely trying to push it. But this is where he could turn his engine down and go, well, there's no point me attacking him into the final chicane, because if I get past him, he'll probably just come past me. So if I just follow him and save fuel and then attack him towards the end of the Kemmel straight. Oh, I said Fluffy was away from Mitch, but he's just cocked up the final corner, and that's put Mitch right up alongside him, and that's going to make it interesting. Side by side into La Source. Fluffy with the tighter line. Mitch looking for a bit of a switch back. He'll have a decent run, but he's going to be too close. He's going to have to lift off before going into Eau Rouge. Otherwise, he's going to have to go side by side into Eau Rouge.
Yeah, and that's not really what you want to do. You want to be side by side once you've got through Eau Rouge and out of Radion, which is this bit of a kink coming up now. And at this point, I think he may have done that because there's a bit of a gap between the two of them. Now he's going to be getting the slipstream. Yeah. Now he's going to be maximising. But it looks like Fluffy's had a good run out of those corners.
I think
maybe Mitch is on a bit of fuel save behind him at this point.
Maybe, or Mitch lifted at just the wrong point. Dave the Arp up alongside Groover, trying to recover from his big sideways and dipping the wheel in the gravel. So he gets ahead. Jason having a look at chucking it up the inside of Groover. Can't quite do it. Groover closes the door on him. There is a fantastic scrap going on in here. Mandalorian's in there as well, just ahead of Lewis. And Lewis, he's still racing on a pad, so still trying to get to grips with that until... Oh, Jason and Groover! Bit of door banging, and sideways Jason goes. Lewis sweeps around the outside. Here comes Bunsell to sweep around the inside. And yeah, Bunsell, I like that. He spotted that Jason was still just about there.
Yeah, I thought Jason for a moment then pulled the brake on, to be fair.
You know what? We hadn't spotted it. Demon Art is left Steve F1 for dust. Steve F1 though, the fuel saving is costing him. That's put SGP all over his rear wing. Yeah,
and if SGP needs to save any fuel, now's a good time to do it. And how much time have we got left there? We've got
a minute 10. These guys are going to have at least one more lap to do.
Yeah, they are. And at this point, I think Steve is going to be going, oh dear, I didn't realise we'll have a lap to do, and he might have to save a bit more fuel than he'd realised.
I think you could be right, because look at the gap between Demon R and Steve F1. That's a massive fuel saving gap, that is.
Yeah, SGP going side by side then with Steve, and he's braked into the corner. It looks like he's going to have the move done. Yeah, SGP then is through, and if Steve F1 needs to save fuel, he can do it behind SGP. Tyler though, if he's realised there's another lap to go, and he is dropping a bit more like a heavy feather now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on a really lean mix there. He's fighting for all he's worth, but I don't think it's going to work.
No, I think he tried sort of squeezing Jason into the corner, perhaps not realising that Jason had another car next to him. Are these guys on there? This is going to be close. No, they're going to have another lap to do, aren't they? They are going to have another lap to do. We know that Demon R is going to have another lap, and SGP and Steve F1, they all cross the line comfortably with the lap to go. And I think you might be right. Steve F1 may have been caught out by the extra lap, but he's in the slipstream. He's not gaining. He can't turn his engine up, can he? He's not gaining. He hasn't got the fuel.
No, and if he can save enough fuel. Oh, hang on, we've got Jason up behind Groover. He just needs to be able to save enough fuel so he can attack in that final stretch. But he needs to make sure he's got enough fuel to finish the race. Otherwise, he'll have no points at all.
Yeah, definitely. Tyler coming under pressure from Bunsell. Jason having a look at the inside. He's about to have a look at the inside of Groover. There we go. But can't quite get ahead into the braking zone. So that's going to put Jason under pressure from Tyler. Jason's gone deep. Tyler sweeps through. He'll like that move. But if Steve F1 is tight on fuel, Tyler pitted before Steve F1.
Yeah. And I think the race, with it being that one lap extra than what Tyler may have been expecting, he's going to be on fumes at this point, and fuming.
Yeah, I think you could be absolutely right. So Jason right up the gearbox of Tyler then, after going a little bit deep, but Tyler running a little bit wide. Dave the Harp's coming towards them as well. He's got Bunsell right behind him, and Jimmy, who I also believe is on a one-stop, round the outside. Tyler, you know what? Tyler was right on the limit there. You can push it all the way to the edge of that curb, but if you dip a wheel over it, you're stuffed.
Yeah. You definitely will be. So Jason around the outside of Tyler here. Tyler, I tell you what, if he is fuel saving, he's doing well to keep his pace up with these guys and save fuel. But he may struggle on the straight if he has to fuel save on the straight.
I'm wondering if he's not saving enough fuel looking at the pace he's running though. Yeah, Demon R leading the way, and Steve F1 is closing in on the back of SGP. Demon R's got a comfortable gap, and him in the background we can see, yeah, Steve F1 is going to try the attack around the outside. SGP's got the inside line, side by side they go. Steve F1 can't quite put the power down. Demon R's going to cross the line to take the victory, and I don't think Steve F1 has got enough fuel. SGP takes second. Steve Steve F1 third, and holy cow, here we go. Let's see, Fluffy and Mitch are going to be fourth and fifth. Jason and Dave the Harp are there side by side. So yeah, Fluffy, Dave the Harp, Fluffy and Mitch, fourth and fifth. Groover sixth. I think Jimmy's out of fuel. He's going slow. Bunsell, he's out of his mind. Is there anybody else going slow there? Dave the Harp's through. Yes, there's four of them. Oh, it's the slowest end to a race I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show how critical it is with the fuel when you try and do that one stop, or even some of them did the two stop. You've always got to think, what if there is that extra lap, and take that into consideration. Otherwise, if you realise too late, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know one of the drivers said in practice a week or so ago, perhaps the best thing to do is like split the 40 minutes into 3 and make sure you fill the tank up every time you pit, if you pit twice. Just make sure that your final pit stop is the crucial one. You have enough fuel at that stop to get to the end. I can't imagine seeing what happened to Steve F1 there. I can imagine he's kicking himself and thinking, should have gone for a two stop, because unfortunately for him, having to fuel save cost him the victory.
It did. I mean, you look at the different strategies between the top three. Demon R won the race. He had to react to SGP's strategy. And Steve F1, it looked like he was going into that race knowing he was going to do the one stop, and he stuck to his guns, but maybe he should have changed it once he realised the others were catching him up. But yeah, SGP pitting on 2 laps gone, you can kind of understand why now, because it fits his strategy. If a full tank twice over doesn't get you to the end, obviously he could run full burn, but needed 2 laps extra of fuel. So he did the 2 laps extra at the start, and then went for a full tank and a full tank, and that's what's worked. And obviously Demon R reacted to it. Obviously, we know Demon R's quick, and got the benefit of a shorter pit stop.
Yeah, I think with that though, I think what benefited Demon R there was on that second stint, he was able to do a lot. Well, not able. He did quite a bit of fuel saving, which meant that the final pit stop was much shorter than SGP's. Yeah. SGP had to put more fuel in, and to be fair, that kind of made Demon R's race and almost broke SGP's race, because SGP come out behind the pack, Demon R came out in front of the pack, and if SGP had been able to come out in the same place as Demon R, he'd have been there to fight for the win, easily there to fight for the win.
Yeah, and I think probably SGP was probably hoping that a few more cars might have been trying to stretch out the one stop. Because just imagine if Demon R had tried to go for the one stop as well, SGP would have been away in the distance.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think you'd have been right. Steve F1 made the one stop work quite well. Unfortunately, it wasn't well enough. The extra lap definitely cost him, but at the same time, the amount of fuel saving he would have had to have done throughout that race, he would have spent a lot of time in that race not under pressure from other cars, but a lot of pressure of, am I saving enough fuel? And when it all boiled down to it, he needed another 0.5%.
Yeah, pressure on SGP on that last lap.
Yeah. I know, well, I'm going to mention it anyway, because there is a reason why you admins have selected the percentage of burn for the fuel in these cars, and I gather it's because there's 2 ways to kind of approach it, which is, one of your concerns was about drivers not being able to have the radar on. So the fuel has been set to a level where you can do a 2-stop race and never have to touch your fuel mixture.
Yep, you can run full burn and do a comfortable 2-stop race.
Yeah, and have your radar on.
Yep.
Or, if you want to risk it, you can play about with your fuel and try and do a 1-stop. But it might not work for you.
Exactly, it is risky. And it's probably only going to work, to be fair, if you have a great qualifying session.
Yeah.
You're on pole or on the front row, and you're able to stay ahead of everybody for that first stint, so you're not being held up. And then when you do your one stop, you're not in traffic.
Yeah.
Whether you're in front or behind or whatever, so then you've got a clear track. You can pump in just regular lap times. I'm not on about qualifying lap times. I'm on about
consistent,
yeah, without losing too much time. But it's always difficult not knowing where the other cars are going to be when you do your pit stop, because pit stops this season dramatically different to what we've seen before. Because let's take, for instance, Bathurst last season. Pit stop lost time worked out to be something ridiculous like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So a pit stop, oh yeah, okay, why not jump in the pits for some new tyres? Obviously, we didn't have fuel on then. Now we've got fuel. We've got pit stops that potentially, you change your tyres and full fuel, could be at some tracks up to 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
And trying to work out if you're going to come out in front of somebody, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Anyway, quick mention about Fluffy, finished in 4th place. Got to say, great result for him. Having seen what his pace was like in the practice sessions, I think I'd actually go as far as to I'd go as far as to say he could be disappointed with that result, because he had the pace to fight with SGP, Steve F1 and Demon from what I saw in the practice.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. He had the 1 lap pace, but what we need to see from Fluffy is for him to be able to do that consistently throughout the race. And I'm not saying that he didn't do that today, because it could have been a number of reasons why he wasn't up there. We know he's got 1 lap pace. We just need to be able to see that now over the course of the whole race, and be able to be consistent with his laps, because one incident and then you're swallowed up by the pack, and your race can be very different from that point.
Yeah, I think Mitch will be a little bit, well, I think he'll be frustrated but pleased with the 5th place finish. He definitely had the pace, but unfortunately few too many mistakes, and that cost him the time that resulted in him being in that situation of under attack for 4th. But I think overall he should be fairly pleased with how his race has gone. I can't remember who finished in 6th place.
I think it might have been Groover.
It was Groover. Kind of didn't really see him a lot in that race from what I can remember. Although I'm pretty sure I saw him under attack a lot, but 6th place finish. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he did a one stop as well. Pretty sure he followed what Steve F1 was doing. And because I remember when SGP was catching up to the back of Steve F1, there was Groover that he had to overtake to get by. Then there was Tyler that was doing the one stop as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyler's race, what happened there?
Well, unfortunately, caught out with the fuel, wasn't it? So I'm just going to bring up the race results so I can see who finished in what position. Because I'm pretty sure that Dave the Harp somehow, after all of his adventures, came through to finish in... No, Jason finished in 7th place. So even though he was bumped about a bit in that race, 7th place finish for Jason. I can't remember if he went for a one stop or not. I didn't see his pit ins or outs, so difficult to say. I'd be surprised if he went for a one stop given what happened at round 1, and that might be why he ended up in 7th place. Dave the Harp finished in 8th, and to be fair, on a track that can be a bit of a tyre killer, I think Dave the Harp's done alright to finish where he has, although I think he'll be frustrated that he'll feel he should be further up the grid, that's for sure.
Yeah, talking to Dave the Harp this week, he is now able to get the tyres to last as long as the fuel. Whereas obviously we were saying in the commentary there that the tyres should be able to last about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Dave the Harp somehow struggles to make them last 15 minutes. But at least they're lasting as long as his fuel is, so he can change his tyres and fill his car up at the same pit stop. I
mean, that's one of those things where, he's going to lose a little bit of extra time in the pits putting new tyres on, but having fresh tyres compared to people on older tyres, he'll get a lot of that time back. Bunsell finished in 9th place. I don't know exactly what happened at that final corner, where he was going, but he's finished in 9th place. Rich Blues finished in 10th. I think that might have been the first proper race that Rich has done around Spa, so I don't think he should be too disappointed, because it wasn't a shabby showing. A couple of incidents in there, but they can happen around this track. Jimmy on a 1-stop finished in 11th.
Could have been higher, but he ran out of fuel at the last point there.
Yep, I think he may have learned, you're better off just doing the extra pit stop. And Tyler, so Jimmy, Tyler, Twilight, they all ran. I think Rich might have ran out of fuel as well, because wasn't there 4 of them running out of fuel at the end? Yeah, so all. Maybe Rich, Jimmy for definite, Tyler and Twilight all running out of fuel on that final lap. Massively disappointing. I mean, that must be so painful, coming around the final corner and the car just conking out on you.
If you, during the race, we were sort of talking about, there's going to be another lap for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they crossed the line with about 5 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Now, on the previous lap, they'd be thinking, this is the last lap, I can use all my fuel up. And then the realisation when you cross the line with a few seconds to go, meaning you've got another full lap to do, that was like, oh dear.
Yeah. I mean, from what I can gather, if you did a full lap around the likes of Spa on the slowest fuel mixture, I think you use about 0.6% of fuel. If you run full burn, you used about 1.3. Sorry, not percent. It's 0.6 of a lap's worth of fuel. If you run full burn, it's 1.3 laps worth of fuel. So you would have had to have crossed the line with at least like 0.6 in your tank and run full lean for the whole of that last lap.
Yeah.
Which
not easy.
No, definitely not.
But I think there was quite a few of them doing that, and that's why they were all close together.
Quite possibly. Let's see, Lewis finished in 14th place. We didn't see it on camera, but he was involved in a crash with Mandalorian, who finished in 15th place. So a disappointing end to the race for both of those. But my assistant has informed me that the reason that Mandalorian had a rather odd racing line into the final chicane on one occasion was apparently because he's got a new set of pedals and he pressed the clutch instead of the brake, and that's why he went flying straight through the chicane. Anybody that's got a set of pedals, they've got 3 pedals, have probably done that at some point. I just think it's racing driver excuses myself.
Yeah, blame the tools.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Conrad finished with a DNF with his disconnection. Massive shame for him.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say there for Connor is we know he's moved house. He's gone. The house he's at now has got better internet. Just make sure that your internet is running as best as it can at that point when you're going to do the race, and make sure you've turned your Wi-Fi off your phone. If your printer works on Wi-Fi, turn your printer off, and just minimise as much internet traffic through your hub as possible. Just to maximise your racing ability there. Just because it's a shame. He's a good guy.
He is. He's a good lad. He's a good racer.
Yeah. Could be getting podiums this season, even a win.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if his car's not on track.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I believe he did say after the race that his internet just went off. I mean, I'd be so annoyed with that, because I mean, yes, he's moved house, but the internet is much better than what he had previously. And yeah, I mean, I think I've only experienced it once where I've been disconnected from a race, and to be fair, you can't know what that feeling is like until it's happened to you.
I mean, I've had it happen. It wasn't a disconnection due to internet. It was a game error, and I thought at the time, I wonder if it's happened to everybody. And I'm there messaging the drivers, getting no response. Thinking, okay, I must be the only one. Yeah. And that realisation of your race is over, and nothing's happening, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
it's like tomorrow's Christmas, and then you're getting told it's cancelled.
Yeah. It's not nice. Okay, next race. I will go through the confirmed race result, any penalties, and the confirmed constructor standings. Not constructor standings, driver standings. In a few moments' time, but I just want to mention
who's leading the constructors. It's Mazda.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing well. Yeah. Next race, as it is now been nicknamed Belfast.
Can we confirm that it's not actually at Belfast?
It's definitely not at Belfast. It is in. It's at Bathurst. Round 3 is at Bathurst.
Where is Bathurst?
It's in Australia. It's about, I don't know, what, 3,000 miles away from Belfast.
Probably a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's Mount Panorama. Yeah.
These cars, that track, you'd think it don't work, but many people thought that about Spa. These cars, Spa works. These cars, Bathurst works. And
also, I mean, there's some great tracks this season that you would think, not sure about with this car, but it's amazing. I mean, after Bathurst, you've got Suzuka, and just off the top of my head, I'm not sure when, but you've got Cirque de la Sarthe, which is an amazing track in fast cars.
Yeah.
These cars, it's just amazing still. It's just strange how this car, it just comes alive at every track.
Yeah, it really does. I know a few people have struggled with Bathurst in the past, but to be fair, if there's ever a car that's going to help you learn it, it's this one. From what I've been seeing in practice, I can't imagine anyone going for a one-stop strategy around there, even though it's difficult to overtake. If you're fuel saving around Bathurst, you're in trouble, because it's too high speed a circuit. There's too many parts of it that are fast. There's not enough places for you to save fuel, I don't think.
I did a little bit of testing, and if you try and fuel save when you're going uphill, you're hemorrhaging so much time. It is just not worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you try fuel saving when you're going downhill, you're going to do exactly the same thing, because the downhill is the fast bit, apart from the downhill bit in the mountain. But even then, that's
not fast.
Well, no, but that's. I mean, that's.
You can't really fuel save when you're not on the throttle.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be a fascinating one, especially with how close the drivers' standings currently are up at the top. So I think it's time to go and have a look at the confirmed race result and the drivers' standings. And good timing it is as well, because my assistant has just informed me that I was looking at the wrong picture for the race result. So we've just mentioned that people finished in positions that they didn't finish. So I think it's only right that we put that correct. Here we go then with the correct confirmed race result for Spa-Francorchamps. Demonard took the victory in the 20 points. SGP finished in second with 17 points, and Steve F1 came home in third to take 15 points. Fluffy Planet with a good race finished fourth, and Mitch right behind him in fifth. Groover out of nowhere takes sixth place, while Dave the Harp and Rich Blues benefited from those on low fuel to take seventh and eighth. Bunsell also jumped a few at the end to take ninth and 7 points. Jason was the first of the runners out of fuel to take 10th and 6th place, as well as Jimmy in 11th, Tyler in 12th, Twilight in 13th, and then Lewis in 14th, who had an incident with Mandalorian, who finished in 15th. Conrad unfortunately did not make it to the end. Now, there are no penalties applied to this race, however a few incidents were noted to the admins, with a few words of advice hopefully towards a few drivers, and the admins I'm sure will deal with that. So no minus points for anybody from today's race. Let's take a look at how that race result has affected the drivers' standings. Steve F1 leads the way, but is not on his own. He's joined by Demon R in first place, both on 35 points. SGP sits in third on 34 points. Fluffy Planet's now fourth on 23, with Mitch right behind him on 22. Rich Blues probably got a nosebleed, being up there in sixth place on 14 points, with his rival right behind him in seventh on 13. Jimmy also sharing that seventh place. Twilight ran out of fuel at the end, but I'm sure he hasn't ran out of luck, but he is joined in ninth by Dave the Harp. That's 12 points for each of those. Groover, he's now in 11th with 11 points, and Jason, he's 12th with 10. Bunsell takes that 13th spot with Formula Gary in 14th. Lewis joined in 15th by his good old mate Tyler, and then we have Conrad in 17th and Mandalorian in 18th. As we mentioned, the next race, round 3, will be from Mount Panorama in Bathurst. I'm sure that's going to throw up a few exciting moments. Up the hill, down the hill, far away, plenty of beer. Let's see what happens when we make our way to Australia. I've been Dave, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all again soon.